Well, you're certainly doing your job today, Mr. Sun. Oh, rats.
There's roller coaster games, and then there's whatever the fuck this game was between Gold Coast and Collingwood Friday night at People First Stadium. Biggest game in Gold Coast history, apparently. Gold Coast have arrived. It's another statement win for Gold Coast. Biggest win in their club's history. And Gold Coast winning by 6 points, 10-9-69 to Collingwood 8-15-63. Congratulations! But to be fair, with a combined score of 132 and a match-winning score of 69, too nice for us, this was surprisingly entertaining for 4 quarters. And even saying this as a Collingwood supporter, thankfully, for me at least, and thankfully I've gone ahead with this, recording this on a Saturday morning. It's just near 10 a.m. right now. I did have thoughts of recording this game or this review immediately after the game, and that was halfway through the third quarter. Well, we couldn't buy a goal. Goalless for 2.5 quarters. This game, in my opinion, for a Collingwood perspective, this had elements of our loss against Hawthorn last year, our win over North Melbourne last year, our loss to Gold Coast last year, and sprinkles of the 2021 season as well. A low score up until three-quarter time, and then we somehow go on a 4 or 5 goal run. That's 2021 for us in a few games. The Gold Coast lost last year, being outplayed for 3 quarters and then just making a bullshit comeback. North Melbourne, last year at least, they played like the Globetrotters for fuck's sake. Gold Coast had elements of this here and also making a bullshit comeback. And also the Hawthorn game where we didn't kick a goal for half a game or half a game of footy. 1 goal 12 at some point. We were 0 goals 11 halfway through the third quarter. 0 goals 11. I'm going to repeat myself. 0 goals 11. We can't run. We can't hide from it. 0 goals 11. And if you're goalless for 2.5 quarters, you don't deserve to win a game of footy. 11 behinds in a row as well doesn't help our cause. And also just kicking 8 goals and technically a quarter of footy. We kicked 8 goals in a span of 20, 30 minutes, halfway through the third quarter, up until halfway through the final quarter. And then we were goalless for half a quarter to end the game. So, yeah, bit frustrating. It's our third loss. It's a rare loss for Collingwood. Our 8-game win streak comes to an end, losing to GWS, Geelong, and Gold Coast. Can't split the G's with those ones. I think what annoys me most is it's another statement win by Gold Coast, always against Collingwood. Every win by the Gold Coast Suns over us is always a statement win. Their biggest win in their club's history, the biggest game in their club's history. They've arrived, apparently. 15 seasons in the AFL, and they've finally arrived. Come on now. So, yeah, I am annoyed about this, and I'm mostly annoyed because we lost this game, so I just want to be upfront and transparent about that. Again, this is the round 18 review. Gold Coast winning by 6 points. Now, to be fair, Gold Coast, deserving winners. Congratulations. They will likely be playing finals. They've got a massive fortnight ahead. They've got Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval next week, and then the Q Clash in 2 weeks' time. So if they lose those 2 games by over 5 goals, for example, then what the fuck was this win all about? And again, for Collingwood, it's a rare loss, but there's also decisions made in hindsight in regards to our team selections, players named, players not named, also some injuries coming out of this game, form, performances, little things built up in this game. Hopefully it's an outlier. We can't call this a mulligan. I mean, it's a 6-point loss, so we can't call this a mulligan. It goes to show we are unbelievable with these comebacks. It would have been unbelievable if we won this game. However, some things just aren't meant to be. And yeah, again, 2.5 quarters of footy. We can't kick a goal. So I'll try and make sense of this game. I kind of don't want to talk about the first half or the first 2.5 quarters of this game. We were goalless, so that's it. That's it. But I'll go through it quarter by quarter. This was a rare, no, not a rare, I mean, it's a rare interstate game, really, when you think about it. But it's one of those rare games where I'm able to take notes during the game. And so I will highlight some notes I made in this game, also go back over and just make some brief comments and opinions and whatnot. There won't be a good flow to this, so bear with me. We've lost a game, or I'm trying to make sense of it, trying to unpack this. But anyway, let's just get into this review. The first half, let's start off with the first quarter. I mean, that's how games are. Start with the first quarter. The intercepting game from us was good. That was more because Gold Coast were rushing and kicking it long. Unnecessary kicks long for Gold Coast. We were intercepting well. Dan Houston, Darcy Moore, Jeremy Howe, a little bit of Braden Maynard as well. We weren't able to capitalise and score or goals from it. Set shot misses early on. That was the theme of this game for us. Kicks inside 50. If it was central, we would be turning it over, or the Suns forced a turnover, or we went far too wide, also leading to a turnover or a stoppage, and they were able to get it out pretty easily, to be fair. There was just times in the first quarter where we were just outnumbered. Collingwood as well, we're bombing it long out of the defensive 50. We kick it long to a contest, and we were either outnumbered, or for some weird reason, we're bombing it long to Lockie Schultz. Lockie Schultz, who's a small forward, high pressure forward. He's not a contested mark beast, and we're bombing it long to him. Yeah, we were just outnumbered in contests. The spoiling ability of the Gold Coast Suns, their tackling pressure, not so much the tackles overall, because we did win the tackle count for the game, and quarter by quarter we're winning the tackles. Uh, Perceived pressure acts, defensive efforts, spoils, you name it. They didn't give us a chance to breathe at all. We were being rushed. We were forcing it long, forcing it wide as well. We weren't able to play our game early on, and being goalless at quarter time, that told the story. And I shit you not, I wrote down right before the second quarter started that I had a bad feeling about this game. And look what happened in the second quarter. We got smacked in every key metric, every stat involved. The midfielders for the Gold Coast Suns ran amok. We were destroyed in centre clearances. Couldn't buy a goal still. Our set shot kicking was woeful. And these were annoying set shots as well. They weren't massive misses, but they were on target and they would just fade away. On target and just fade away. Very annoying. That reminded me of the Hawthorn game, or late second quarter. We had like 3 or 4 shots just missing, and we just couldn't buy a goal. We needed a goal. But to be fair, in hindsight or in a hypothetical, had we scored a goal or two, I guarantee the Gold Coast Suns would have picked a quick goal in response from a centre clearance. So, in a weird way, 6 goals, 7 to 8 behinds at half time somehow kept us in the game. If we were playing GWS or Hawthorn or a Brisbane or an Adelaide or Geelong or even the Bulldogs, oh, particularly the Bulldogs, we would have been absolutely fucked in this game. This could have had shades of Sydney losing by 112 points to Port Adelaide last year. That's how bad this looked. One thing that really annoyed me for Collingwood, our defensive, not just our defensive efforts, but if the Gold Coast Suns kicked it long inside 50 or they had a set shot that was tailing away, that was heading out of play, or fell just short, why the fuck couldn't we kill the contest or the footy? A contested mark or an intercepting mark was dropped, a spoil kept the ball in play for some reason, the ball's in dispute, and Gold Coast had the numbers to create more chances for a goal. Darcy Cameron, I don't want to point the fingers or blame players or anything like that, but Darcy Cameron, I guarantee he had an illness or the flu, either heading up or he woke up crook. There's no way he was 100% for this game. And thankfully for Mason Cox, he was called up. His performances in the VFL haven't warranted senior selection, but he played very well here. He was a much better ruckman here compared to Darcy Cameron. Up against Jared Witts, I think Mason Cox knew what he was heading into against Jared Witts. Again, former teammates. Darcy Cameron as well. He's either dropping marks or he's kicking. They're either floaters or he missed a target by about 15 metres. That's how bad his game was. Uh, Even his intercepting ability wasn't there. He lost the ruck battle. He wasn't comprehensively beaten, but yeah, his worst game of the year. I thought the game against West Coast was a little bit bad, but he stood up in the final quarter. But this game here had no impact at all for us. So again, down by 35 points at half time. Jeremy Howe unfortunately getting subbed off with a groin injury. And we had a lot of battle wounds as well. Nick Dacos with the foot injury. Mason Cox was banged up. Darcy Moore was banged up as well. Scott Pendlebury subbed on, by the way. In hindsight, not the best move. Pendlebury only playing a half of footy. We needed him in the midfield for the full game. I understand he's 37 years old. He's the GOAT. He needs to be rested. He needs to break the AFL, VFL record for most games played. I get it. But in regards to these managements, it's getting a little bit annoying. And I think losing this game heightens that. But now's the time not for panic, but just to be a little bit concerned, I reckon. Second half, overall much better. But again, we lost the game. We won all the key stats involved. However, our set shot misses still biting us on the arse. Even Jack Crisp missing a set shot, kicking it out of bounds on the full. Jack Crisp had under 50% disposal efficiency for a guy that had over 20 disposals in this game. So I can't have Jack Crisp in my best players here when his kicking was terrible. And also, it was either, and this was Jack Crisp, I think was, I don't want to point fingers, but no clean grabs, picking it up, fumbling. And another thing that annoyed me in this game, every time a Collingwood player had the footy, there was a Collingwood teammate in front of him wanting or running past for a cheap handball. I'm not talking mark here and then someone on the side coming through for a run through handball or anything like that. Take the mark. Let's say this is a Collingwood player. This player here, this drink bottle, Teddy Drinkwater, would ask for a handball right as I'm looking for a target. I'll handball it to you and you get tackled. So that happened far too many times. And it kept on happening as the game went on. And I think as we're getting ourselves back into the game, was just players, me, get the footy. I'll make things happen. It's like, no, let's work together. All right? We're the Collingwood Football Club, all right? We're the Collingwood Magpies. Let's work together. I've done this before. I don't understand. It was just very annoying. A lot of selfish performances at about this or 7 minutes ago in the third quarter. This was this weird kick. It was a dribbler or a floater. It went through Jack Crisp's legs and it dribbled past Lockie Sullivan out of play, heading inside 450. And I couldn't scream into a pillow quick enough. Couldn't throw anything. I mean, I don't throw anything. I don't punch holes in the walls or anything like that. And thankfully, I'm single, but I've never abused my partner or girlfriend or anything like that. I'm not someone that's going to abuse someone over a loss or my team losing a game of footy or just having a shit performance. It's just a game of footy overall, but yeah, still frustrating. We somehow got back into the game. 3 goals, 11 at three-quarter time. Now, Gold Coast kicked the late goal before three-quarter time. I keep saying I don't want to point fingers and then I point fingers, but Will Hoskin-Elliott missing a simple spoil or an intercepting marking chance along the wing. Gold Coast Suns player I think it was Fiorini that picked it up, just picked it about 20 or 30 metres, somehow found Ben Long in a sea of Dan Houston or Perryman and Darcy Moore. I know Darcy Moore was involved because he fell over. And then out the back, I think it was Closey or Ethan Reid or someone. I think Humphrey involved as well. They kicked that late goal and they lead by 27, 28 points at three-quarter time. We won the third quarter. I mean, we always win third quarters, but 27, 28 points down. Yeah, not a lot of optimism there. And then the final quarter happened. Josh Dacos gets put into the midfield, and without a doubt, it's the greatest quarter of footy I've ever seen from a Dacos in my lifetime. I wasn't alive when Peter Dacos played, so can't comment on Peter Dacos in the best quarter of footy he's ever played, but I thought Josh Dacos in this final quarter, the best quarter of footy, trumps any quarter of footy Nick Dacos has played in his career. Josh Dacos here, 16 disposals, 2 goals, multiple clearances, being involved, score involvements, goal assists as well, whatever you want to throw out there as well. And weirdly enough, my final note in this game was after Jamie Elliott kicked that goal to put us in front was, don't be complacent in capital letters. To be fair, we weren't complacent, however. Only 2 minutes in front, Suns responded. Noah Anderson kicks the final goal of the game with, 9 minutes to go. And it's just a dire final half of that final quarter. Couldn't kick a goal either way and losing by 6 points. And as each minute kept ticking by and each behind, it was like, all right, we're not winning the game. Can we salvage a draw or anything like that? But losing by 6 points. Gold Coast have arrived. It's another statement win, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, it's a frustrating loss. It's a good comeback. I know we can be positive about that, but again, if you're goalless for 2.5 quarters, you don't deserve to win a game of footy. Just on player performances, Josh Dacos, hands down, best on ground here. 32 disposals, 16 in the final quarter. Jamie Elliott, 3 goals, cashing in on shit forward 50 entries. That wave of goals in that 20, 30-minute patch. Tim Membry, honourable mention, kicking 2 goals as well. Lockie Schultz, first game back, only 10 disposals, but 7 tackles. His forward 50 pressure was enormous. And that final quarter as well, stood up. Isaac Quaynor as well, stood up late in the game. Dan Houston had a very good first quarter. Dan Houston tapered off, but he had a solid game overall. One of his better games for us. I still think his game over Port Adelaide was hands down his best. The Hawthorn game, second best, and this one's probably the third best. We've lost this game, so it won't be highlighted too much, unfortunately. And another player I mention is Scott Pendlebury, particularly for that second half, because he only played half a game of footy, but 16, 17 disposals. We were able to stop any sort of midfield momentum from the Gold Coast Suns. It's what we needed overall in this game, and if we just convert 1 or 2 set shots, if we had Scott Pendlebury for the full game, not blaming injuries or the umpires. Now, Matt Real had 7 free kicks. There's about 5 of them that were easily there. We were holding on to him. There was a couple of free kicks where he was holding on to us, and they somehow found a free kick for Matt Real. It's interesting because he's using players as a shield, as well as pushing them into players and whatnot, but he gets 7 free kicks here. I thought he'd be targeted for that, but not to be the opposite of that. He was protected in this game, but the free kicks were there. Ned Long, his accountability. He's a good tackler, but his ability or accountability in the stoppages, holding on the players, conceding 5 free kicks. And also this Tom Mitchell, Ned Long combination in the midfield. With each game and each loss, I'm starting to think Ned Long and Tom Mitchell just isn't going to work. Ned Long, an outsider here. Tom Mitchell, 20 disposals. And that's despite 11 tackles. Tom Mitchell, Ned Long compared to a Matt Rao, Noah Anderson. Just couldn't get into the game or have that proper impact. Now, again, do I think it's a time for panic? No. Is it a time for concern? A little bit. And I think it's going to be heightened if we somehow lose to Fremantle next week, which, we are capable of losing that game next week. Fremantle, they're good for a win on the road, particularly in Victoria at the MCG or at Marvel Stadium. They haven't won in Victoria this year, so they are due for that win. And they're also good for breaking streaks and whatnot. Thankfully, we've lost this game somehow. So we're not having a winning streak here. No Jeremy Howe next week, 35 years old, and we've got issues down back. Charlie Dean likely gets called up, but yeah, injury concerns yet again. Bo McCreary might be back for next week. Who knows? Frampton not too far away. DeGoey, hopefully there's a timeline on him pretty soon. Yeah, some things to worry about, some things to work on. Little things in this game just didn't go our way, and it all builds up. And yeah, deserving 6-point losers, unfortunately. Just one more thing: our bottom 6 players in this game. I think Ned Long was our 16th player here. I don't think his Ned Long's going to be dropped or anything like that. It's just we do need to talk about him in the midfield alongside Tom Mitchell and whatnot. But other players involved: Hoskin Elliott, Lockie Sullivan, Rowan Steele, Oleg Markov, Mason Cox. Uh, the first 4: Hoskin Elliott, Sullivan, Rowan Steele, Markov. They had worse games here compared to last week. I mean, that's unfortunate. If that happens, our bottom 6 gets exposed and we deserve to lose the game. Mason Cox stepping up weirdly as well because his VFL performances didn't warrant senior selection, but good up here. It's going to be harsh to drop him for next week, particularly up against Jackson and Darcy. Darcy Cameron needs that chop out, and Dan McStay, who I thought was not due, but I had him in for a big game here, maybe 3 or 4 goals, missed a simple set shot in the final quarter. Had some good moments here and there, but Dan McStay owes me for that one, unfortunately. But yeah, bottom 6 players. It's not our best 23, I get that, but with Ed Allen having a decent performance in the VFL, would have used someone like him with his kicking ability in a high-pressure game like this. Yeah, players coming back in from injuries. Pendlebury will likely play a full game next week. Lipinski comes back in. Myercheck comes back in. No time for panic, but a little bit of concern if we can't beat Fremantle with the month of August ahead against Hawthorn, Brisbane, Adelaide. Yeah, we've got our work cut out for us. I mentioned Ed Allen just a little bit earlier, and it's a good little segue into the VFL report. Just very briefly, again, I didn't watch this game. I haven't checked the highlights or anything like that. I watched brief moments at work. I only watched the final 10 minutes when I got home. I haven't bothered watching the mini highlights or the full game or anything like that. But highs, 2-point winners, 15-12, 102, defeating Gold Coast 14-16, 100. Down by 10 points with about 10 minutes to go. We kicked 3 goals, got the lead, and we hung on by 2 points. A must-needed win in the VFL to keep some breathing space in the top 10. It's 5 games in a row decided by 10 points or less in the VFL. 10 AFL listed players for us compared to Gold Coast's 15 AFL listed players here. The Suns were on a 2-game win streak here, so a much-needed win for us with 4 games to go, breathing space in the top 10. And it's my honour as well to say Noah Howes has finally arrived at Collingwood. 5 goals in this game, stood up in the third quarter in particular. Ed Allen, again, 27 disposals, just under 75% disposal efficiency, 8 clearances, 6 inside 50 entries, 5 score involvements. Each stat I just mentioned, just a gut punch. We could have used a guy like Ed Allen in this game with his kicking under pressure. This game was also the first game back for Ash Johnson. Limited minutes. I thought he would only play the first half and then be benched, similar to like Tom Mitchell in his first game back. But he played the full game, 11 disposals, kicked the goal on the 3-quarter time siren, got through the game unscathed, got up the ground as well, got involved, and yeah, thumbs up performance. He got through the game unscathed. That's all we want. Charlie Dean, he'll likely replace Jeremy Howe. He had 20 disposals here, 16 effective disposals. Another good VFL game here. Replaces Jeremy Howe. What more can you say or want from that? Harry Demetia, slow start to the game, but kicked the final goal for us. Had an impact in the second half, just 17 disposals. Will Parker, only 10 disposals, 7 tackles though. Little impact in this game. Joel Cochran, he continues to impress. Consistent performances, 16 disposals up the ground or down back. He'll likely be our key defender next week with Charlie Dean called up to the AFL side. Oscar Steen and Aliro Schmidt, ruck duo against Ned Moyle. They lost the battle there, but we won the war. Steen, 18 hitouts, Schmidt, 10 hitouts. Oscar Steen, he's a mini Darcy Cameron right now. Contested marks around the ground, intercepting well. Doesn't kick goals though, but the next step in Oscar Steen's development is to be dominating in the ruck, not to be dominated. So once he ticks off that box, whether it's start of next year and whatnot, he won't be too far away from an AFL debut. And lastly, Will Hayes, 11 disposals, didn't kick a goal, but he took a contested mark, which is worth 2 or 3 goals. So fair play to Will Hayes. Forward 50 pressure was there as well. So in case of any more injuries still, he'll get called back up. I'll wrap up this video here. That's it for the round 18 review. Again, same shit, same plugs. Give this video a like, comment your thoughts on this game, comment on all things Collingwood. I'm happily be involved with you guys still with the comments. Share this video, recommend it, subscribe to the channel if you're not, do whatever you want. I'm going to edit this video, upload it, and then just forget about the weekend in terms of footy. I'll watch the Hawks-Freo game just to study up on our opposition next week. Buy a new polo shirt. Mine's ripped just now. And that's it. That's my weekend done. Nothing to be celebrating about, nothing to be excited for. We'll bounce back. No time for panic or concern, or a little bit of concern, but optimism. I'll try and be optimistic. I might have a topic video up in the coming days, but I'll have the preview up on either Wednesday or Thursday for the Freo game. I'll be on the Black and White United show on Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. One last plug there. More thoughts and comments on that game on that channel. So it's more free-flowing. Nate talks pies. So yeah, interesting. Watch this space there. I'll leave you guys to it. I'm waffling on. Have a good weekend, guys. Be well. Stay safe. Make pies out.
Up the pie!